Welcome to Aunty Lou's Hour. If you like this podcast, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.
So finally, I get to meet the amazing, inspiring, for many reasons, Allan Batcock. So
Hi,
happy to have you here.
and you, thank you very much.
Yeah. So before we go on, let's talk a little bit about you. What do you do at the moment? Like, what is your, are you working? Are you
At the moment, I'm a full-time carer.
okay? Yeah, yeah.
My wife unfortunately had a stroke and has ME. We've got two kids with autism, and my dad has just been diagnosed with epilepsy. So between all of that lot, I keep myself
Yeah.
rather busy.
You have a lot on your plate there, quite a lot on your plate. But you know what, Alan? The reason, I remember seeing you on the HIV circuit and thinking, oh my gosh, finally, I've met a man, heterosexual man, living with HIV. There are not many of you, are there?
There is quite a lot of heterosexual men.
There is, but
Um,
but not on the socials.
no, not the socials. The problem is HIV has always been seen as a gay illness, or women, or every other demographic except for straight men.
Yeah,
And I know when I was first diagnosed, because there was nobody standing up, it's very isolating.
yeah,
And a lot of it is to do with internal stigmas.
yeah,
Um, a lot of men, especially straight men, they don't want to be seen as being a gay man, and it's stupid, completely stupid.
mm,
But a lot of people feel those internal stigmas and hide.
yeah,
So because I felt so isolated, um, when I got diagnosed, I fell into a very big, messy black hole.
yeah. I can imagine.
But with a lot of help off HIV charities, my family, and everybody else, I managed to get better.
Yeah,
I then got with my now wife,
yeah.
and between her and the family, they give me the strength and the
Yeah,
opportunity to be able to do
yeah,
the work I do and the speaking
yeah,
out that I do, because I do believe that as human beings, we have one job in this world,
yeah.
and that's to leave it a little bit better than where we found it. And this is my way of making a little bit better.
And on that note, Alan, I want to say thank you for doing that because I haven't seen many heterosexual men living with HIV talking openly about their status. So thank you about doing for doing that. Um, so, like when you found out, did you meet any other heterosexual men? I
Yeah.
mean, how many years ago was it, first of all, actually?
I got diagnosed on the 9th of September 2010 at
Mm,
5:15 in the evening. Not
wow.
that it's burned in my memory or anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so I've been living with it now for just shy of 16 years. Been living with HIV.
Mm, mm, mm.
Um, and to this day, in person, I've met one other heterosexual man living with HIV.
Wow. Wow.
Over the internet, because of how public I am and all the newspapers and TV and radio, and
Yeah.
I do get maybe 6 or 7 men reach out to me every single year. Oh my God, I thought I was alone.
Yeah.
Where can I find other people? Where can I find support? Nobody understands what I'm going through. So online, I've met quite a few. Unfortunately, there is no space for heterosexual men within HIV.
When you say there's no space, what do you mean?
There aren't any support groups. There is one which is Manchester based. There are a couple of mixed heterosexual spaces. Now, heterosexual men are a law unto themselves. They don't talk. You put them in front of a woman and they will talk even less. They are the worst people in the world at communication. I'm a man, I will hold my hands up. We're crap at it.
Yeah.
So they lock themselves down. And because there is no heterosexual only male space, they just suffer in silence and get on with it.
Why do you think there's no space for heterosexual men?
Society as a whole doesn't like heterosexual men.
Ah,
If you look at, domestic violence, let's say, there is not a single domestic violence shelter for men in the UK.
yeah,
But you
yeah,
look at the number there is for women.
yeah.
Yet 30% of domestic violence in the UK is perpetrated against men.
Do you know what? I mean, I'll say, I'll talk to that. There's this guy that I knew where when I worked in like offices, and he was a really kind of beefy, bulky, hench kind of guy. And he said to me that, his girlfriend was like slapping him around. And I kind of think that, I was kind of really surprised that, well, I was really honored that he told me, and really sad and surprised that there was no real kind of support for him, And this is a big guy, and it really kind of saddened me. And yeah, I think that, yeah, yeah. So what?
So, that's just society's attitude towards men is we're not valued. We're valued as long as we can do something, but when it comes to supporting the person, then they get ignored. And it's been going on for as long as people can remember.
Mm,
We, as a group of men, they had the Men Shed Project, the Man Shed Project,
yeah.
which was a man's mental health group. But then a group of women took them to court because they wanted to be included. So they no longer have men sheds, it's now the Shed Project. Because it
Right,
has to be
okay.
inclusive of women and everybody else. There are a couple of men's mental health charities slowly popping up again, but anything, men talk better when we're doing things. We're
Yeah.
not ones for sitting in a circle having a cup of coffee because we get bored as a general rule.
Mm.
We talk when we're doing things, when we're doing activities. Which is why the Men's Shed Project was such a success. And unfortunately, due to equality, it got taken away. So it's a society thing that men don't need the support because men get on with it. And
Yeah.
HIV has taken the same route. The gay men being the people who were overwhelmingly affected by HIV in the early 80s. Although there were still people of every demographic being diagnosed, it was primarily the gay community who was affected the most.
But then I would say that, there are so many communities that are fighting to be seen,
Yeah,
fighting to be seen. I didn't see any British-born Caribbean women of Caribbean origin. I
yeah,
saw a lot of women of African origin, but I didn't see any women of Caribbean origin. I didn't see any heterosexual men, Caribbean origin heterosexual men, British born white men, British born Asian men, British
yeah.
born Asian women. I didn't see any of that, and I think that over the years, you just had to kind of fight to be seen. And I think that is one of the things that you and I have in common. You know, that one of the reasons that I stand up is so that people can see a British-born woman from Caribbean descent,
Yeah.
and people see you as a heterosexual man born in Britain, a
Yep.
white man, and standing up to be seen. Because I don't think there are, it feels like there are not many of us, but I think there are many of us, but people are suffering in silence.
Well, yes, if you look at the latest figures, over 50% of new diagnoses were within the heterosexual community.
Yeah.
Um, Now, I think it was slightly disproportionate that more women were diagnosed than men, but that's still maybe 20% of new diagnoses are heterosexual men. And that's a big number.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a
Yeah.
big number that isn't being supported, isn't being shown. Now, I'm not saying white heterosexual men. This is heterosexual men of all races, creeds, colours, and that's the group I want to stand up for.
Yeah.
Is you know, I don't care what colour you are. You can be red, pink, purple, brown, or yellow. Heterosexual men need somebody to look at,
Yeah.
and I hope I can be that person.
So, how did you get to this stage where, I mean, I can just imagine how difficult it was for you when you found out. I mean, yeah, what happened when you found out?
Um, I you really need to go back to 2009. If you want to go right back to the beginning, I was born in the 1970s, so I was an 80s baby, and I grew up with my first memories of the world really being an HIV tombstone advert
Yeah, I see that.
that
Yeah.
we all got petrified by.
Yeah.
Um, but if you go back to 2009, there was a recession. I had a construction company at the time. Recession took the business. The wife went with the business, and I found myself single for the first time since my teens. Went a bit mad, nightclubs, few
Mm.
one night stands.
As
You
you
know,
do.
I was free and single. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
I then got with another young lady, and for once I did a sensible thing. Doesn't happen very often, but I do it every now and then. And I went and got an STI check. Went in, said do a full MOT, get the lot done. Thought nothing more of it. Fortnight later, I get a phone call. Any chance you can nip in for a quick chat? And nothing serious, just a quick chat.
Mm.
Nothing serious, right? Um, Consultant called me through. She sat me down in a chair. She closed the door. As she was walking from the door to a chair, she went, "No easy way to say this, you're HIV positive." And that was just a
Yeah.
sledgehammer blow
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah.
I was in there for half hour, 40 minutes,
Mm.
and I cannot remember another word she said.
Yeah.
It was just knocked me off my feet. I then told my then girlfriend, got the normal, I'll stay with you, we're in this together. 4 weeks later, she kicked me out of the house, and the crisis team picked me up. Once they worked out I wasn't going to kill myself, they said you need to find somewhere to go. They ran through homeless shelters and everything else because I had nothing left.
How old was you at this time?
I was in my 30s, mid 30s.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they went, "Have you got any family?" And I just said, "Well, I can ring my dad up." Rang my dad up, blurted it all out. And his reply was just, "You've got a front door key, come home."
Mm.
So the crisis team put the fuel in my car, and I drove back to the bedroom that I grew up in.
Mm.
My dad babysat me for a couple of years while I got my
Mm.
head straight.
Bless Dad.
Gave me a bit of pocket money here and there, kept me going, made sure I took tablets and went to appointments.
Oh,
Not what you expect in your 30s, but
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
my dad really is my best mate in the world.
Wow.
Um,
Can I
and then
ask, was your relationship always like that with your dad pre-HIV?
I've always had a very strong relationship with my dad. Yes,
Yeah. So yeah, okay.
so to be able to do that was nothing out of the ordinary.
Mm,
Um, growing up, my mum was an occupational therapist
mm.
who specialised in mental health.
All right.
So talking about things was something that was done every day of the week. Every night we sat round the dining room table and we talked about our day, what had gone right, what had gone wrong,
Mm,
anything that was going on that we needed to talk about. So growing up, that was always the norm. Um, and after they split up, I got closer with my dad. And yeah, he was, I knew my mum didn't have space to me to turn up, whereas my
yeah.
dad did.
What did your dad do for work?
He originally was an engineer
Mm,
and a draftsman,
yeah.
and then when I was in high school, he started a marina up,
Ah.
um,
A marina. Oh,
a
did you?
marina for boats,
Oh, right. He started doing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
in our local town on the river, and then unfortunately that didn't pan out too well, as a lot of businesses didn't. And then he ended up working for a local guy who my dad was the skipper on a trip boat, and he also used to fix up and convert boats. So yeah, he's worked on the boats for half his life.
Nice. Nice. So you stayed with your dad for a few years. He supported you, looked after you, gave you a little bit of pocket money. And then what happened? What was it that kind of got you out of is it self-stigma, would you say it was?
Um,
How would you describe it?
I'd already started to do a little bit because I realised that there was nobody that I could relate to
Yeah,
within
yeah,
publicised HIV world.
yeah.
And then, strangely, I was on the internet one day, as you do, sat there, I'm scrolling Facebook, and then I found this thing called a spam box. Now, I didn't even know a spam box existed.
Mm.
And in it was a message from what was now a woman that I'd gone out with in my late teens. And it was saying, "Hi, how are you doing? This, that, and the other." And she sent it a year previous.
Ah,
And I'm like, oops.
yeah.
So I sent a message back apologising, and we got on really well. Almost as well as we did when we were going out as teenagers.
Um,
And we decided to go out on a date. Well, all my fears of when I first got diagnosed of nobody's going to want me.
Can I take a moment of your time and ask for a huge favour? If you could please comment, share, and subscribe to this podcast. There are so many people out there who are having a real difficult time, and hearing the stories of others can help. Enjoy the rest of the podcast.
Who's going to want to put up with this?
Yeah,
All of that lot comes back. As with any heterosexual person trying to date with HIV. So I decided that I needed to tell her before we went on the date, so that
yeah,
if she wants to run away, she can do. No
yeah,
hard feelings.
yeah.
So I rang her up, blurted it all out as you do, and she just went, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And that was like, well, that's not the response I was expecting.
Yeah.
Now, when we were together the first time, she started to train as a hairdresser. And back in the 90s, part of her hairdressing stuff was bloodborne diseases. And
Oh.
she'd learnt about HIV in the 90s. And she'd kept, not totally up to date, but not far off, all the way through. So she knew about HIV, she knew about treatments. And yeah, so we went on a date.
Do you know what? As you said that, right? So she knew about HIV, she knew about treatments. This is what I'm finding in my experience that when someone knows about HIV or they are open to being educated about HIV, it's a non-issue because they understand you take the tablet, you can't pass it on. So why give up on a amazing relationship, for something that can't be transmitted? But on the other hand, there are people that they have the education and they don't feel confident enough, or they want to, or maybe they just don't want to pursue that relationship. Maybe there isn't that chemistry there, but they won't go. I'm finding more and more that when people understand, they are open, especially if there's a click. Because it's really hard to find somebody. And if you find someone and you get on so well, why would you give that up for something that can't really affect you because you can't really get it? I just wanted to say that there. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Although my now wife Marie, because we are now married,
Yeah.
and we got married in 2019, with an absolutely nuts wedding ceremony because we are nuts. Um, although she knew about treatment, she didn't know about U equals U because that was quite a new thing at that point.
Oh,
I can still remember when the partner study was released, which is the science behind U equals U.
yeah.
You know, they hadn't started to push out the message of U equals U. It was just, if you're undetectable, you can't pass it on. That was the first message that came out. So what I did with Marie was, once we had a couple of dates and I actually made an appointment with my consultant so
Yeah.
that if she wanted to ask any questions,
Yeah.
my consultant, Martin, I've now seen the same guy for the last 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we went for an appointment with Martin, and I said, if you've got any questions, ask him, rather than getting my
Yeah.
version,
Yeah. Yeah.
which, as a new partner, you can skew information. I went, just ask away. If you've got any
Mm.
questions, queries. And the last thing he said was, Alan, you've been undetectable for so long now. If you want to have kids, crack on.
Yeah.
At this point, I was 40, and I went, nope, not going there again.
Yeah.
I'm
Did you have
cutting.
kids before though? Did you have kids? Any kids? No.
Yes,
Yeah, you did. Okay. Yeah.
yeah. I had a child with my ex-wife.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
She's now 22 this year,
Mm, mm,
and
mm,
I've got a grandson and now a granddaughter on the way.
mm, mm, mm. Oh, congratulations. Congratulations. So, you were saying about like did you have any did you go on the dating market? Did you do the dating apps, the HIV dating apps? Did you bother going
No,
down that
not
road?
really.
No.
Like I say, I'm old.
Yeah.
I turned 50 this year, so that I'm of a generation where if you wanted to get a date, you met somebody in a pub
No,
or a
but at that
cafe.
time, because you was in your mid-30s when you got diagnosed. So
Yeah.
around that time, how would you date around that time?
Again, it was meeting people in pubs, through work, through connections, people I knew.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm very old school, very, I'm not brilliant with computers.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I make things by hand. I'm a woodworker, I'm an engineer, I use manual machines.
So what kind of woodwork do you do? Like, do you sell your stuff? Is it just for your own pleasure or?
It's mainly my own pleasure. When I had the construction company,
Yeah.
we did petitions and ceilings mainly, office fits, shop fits, but we also then installed all the kitchens in them, the bathrooms in them, all the woodwork, all the joinery. So I learned commercial second fix joinery.
Mm.
What I do now, I've been wood turning from the age of 13.
What's wood turning? Like carpentry?
Um, when you see a wooden vase
Yeah.
or a wooden bowl,
Oh
then
yeah.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
normally turned on a wood lathe.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like I say, I was 12, 13, a young, very ununderstood child, which we've later worked out is actually I'm autistic.
Oh, are you?
Yes.
Ah, interesting.
Um,
I didn't feel it. Normally I can feel into it, but I didn't
yeah.
feel into it with you. Ah, okay.
Again, I grew up in a world that didn't you. There wasn't anything such as disabilities.
No, there
So
wasn't.
you just had to get on with it, and you had to get on with life. And
Can I ask you, how does your autism impact you? Because for people that don't understand, there are different kind of scales, different parts of the scale.
I've never been very good with people.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Um, I can mask very well,
Maybe that's
and
why I didn't feel it.
I can mold myself into just about any situation I need to,
Yeah.
because of growing up in a world that I didn't understand. So I had to learn how to make it work.
Yeah.
But for me, I couldn't understand why people didn't see the world the way that I did. You
Mm.
know, I look at engineering drawings and I can see the problems with them. It's as if it's an object in my own head.
Yeah.
And I can see why it won't work or why it will work, or if we tweak that, it'll make it better.
Mm.
And it just happens in my mind. And I couldn't
Mm.
understand why other people couldn't see what I was seeing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And it was only when Marie's two children are both autistic,
Oh,
and um, seeing them struggle, and then looking at myself, and all of a sudden they went, "Well, you're more autistic than we are." And I'm like, "Really?" So we went down the line of a very, very long line with the NHS of getting an adult autism diagnosis. And when I was in my mid 40s, I got my diagnosis and things started to click into place
yeah.
of
Yeah.
why I did what I did, why
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
world didn't fit with everybody else's
Yeah.
world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I didn't get my diagnosis for anything else. I got it to make the world make sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so, you know, it explains how I was as a child. I was the kid that all the other parents went, "You don't want to play with him, he's terrible." I
Oh.
was that child.
Terrible in what way?
Um, I was always into mischief.
Ah,
And because I never fitted in with the popular people, I ended up in with the maybe not the best crowd at
yeah.
times.
Yeah.
I was the kid who was smoking behind and the garages at school, I was the kid who never did homework because in my
Mm.
own head, why should I do homework when I'm 3 pages in front of you, but you can't keep up with me? And because I was bored, I
Yeah.
mess around in class.
Yeah.
You know, I'm also dyslexic, which is quite common with autism.
Ah,
And I also have dyspraxia, which is hand-eye coordination issues.
I didn't know that dyslexia was common with autism because I'm dyslexic.
Yeah,
And
dyslexia and autism, because they're all cognitive developmental issues,
yeah,
they
yeah.
do link quite a lot.
Well, they do say, I just now say neurodivergence because I
Yeah.
think that there's you may have one that's quite pronounced, but sometimes you can tap into the others. My husband's got ADHD, but I look at him sometimes and I think I'm feeling into some autism. I'm feeling into some dyslexia, but I'm trying not to label too much, but kind of just feel into it. But I really appreciate it when someone just comes out and says, I'm neurodivergent and this is where I'm because it just makes everything so much more clearer for me.
Well, that's
And I
it.
really see you in
You
for
know,
the whole part of you. Yeah.
I mentioned earlier that my mum worked in mental health as an occupational
Yeah.
therapist.
Yeah.
Well, when I was in primary school, my mum actually got me on clinical trials,
Okay.
and I was given two diagnoses. One was clumsy child syndrome,
Mm.
which is now called dyspraxia,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I had hyperactivity syndrome, which is now called ADHD.
ADHD. Yeah.
And that was back in the very early 1980s. So it was literally on, when they were discovering that children had these issues.
Yeah.
Um, Now, obviously, at the time, autism was only seen as kids that were non-verbal.
Yes, yes, yeah.
You know,
Or they could draw the Houses of Parliament, and that's it,
yeah,
There's such a spectrum. Yeah.
it was seen as on the very extremes,
Yes,
autism.
yes,
The what was or is often called Asperger's syndrome, which
yeah.
is the more social side of autism and things like that. That was never recognized back then.
Mm,
Although the name was around. Asperger's
yeah.
was first developed as a thing in the 1960s. You know,
Yeah, do you know what, Alan? I don't know what your view is on this, but this is what I'm finding. I think there are people like if I'm in a group and I always bring neurodivergence to the table because I just and and I noticed that many people don't want to be associated with being neurodivergent. But the way that I see it, because I got diagnosed when I was 40 and I cried because I thought all those years at school, all those years that I have suffered and felt different and felt shame because I was so different. Let's talk about shame and feeling
oh
so
yeah.
different because of that neurodivergence, not knowing. So when I found out, everything changed, and it's like now I understand who I am, and I've got the skills to explain to my partner or to someone, this is the way that I show up, right? But I notice there's many people that don't want to even think about neurodivergence and being associated with it in relation to they may be neurodivergent. Do you find that, or do you find people kind of want to know?
Um, a lot of people don't want labels, although we seem to be in a world that loves labels, which is strange.
Yeah, but it's
Um,
how long we go with the labels. You got HIV. You're not just living with HIV. You also enjoy nature. You also enjoy old tools. You've got a van that you've done up. You're an engineer. There's so many. Are they all labels? But it depends. Yeah.
this is it. Society tries to put people in boxes. And once they put somebody in a box, they can only be that box. Well, I don't fit in 30 boxes. So where'd you put me? As you say, we've got our camper van, which you cannot miss our camper van for anywhere. You drive down the street and people turn their heads at it.
Yeah.
Because it's nuts. I'm an engineer. I make things down to, a hundredth of a millimeter. I can work down to about 5,000th of a millimeter precision. But on the other side of that, I also go and do green woodworking. And green woodworking is, we call ourselves the Bodgers. And it's the traditional crafts of hand carving spoons, bowls, making hurdles, wicker baskets,
amazing.
where the precision is, if it looks right to your eye.
Yeah, and you like blades as well, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I have a large collection of blades, and that sounds really, really bad. But I collect tools.
Yeah.
For all the different disciplines that I do. Yeah. So I make whittling and carving knives. And I have a saying that I do things because I can. And I enjoy doing it. It will never make me a fortune. I do it because, especially whittling, for instance, it's primarily an American hobby that is slowly spreading over in the UK. In America, there are loads of makers of whittling knives. In the UK, there is 3 of us. And
only 3. So tell me, what's whittling knives? What is that?
A whittling is when you carve small caricatures out of lime and basswood. When you see little figures, little men painted, they're out of wood. Well, that's whittling. Yeah. And it's done with a very, very thin, fine blade. Now, the blades are only 1 millimeter thick. So they're very, very fine. Whereas most knife blades are between 2 and 3.5 mil thick. They're far too heavy to do fine detail.
Do you make them to sell, or do you make them just to kind of collect? Or
I do sell some, but it's more of a self-paid hobby than
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I was to sell them as a commercial venture, I would have to charge double what I do.
Yeah.
It covers the materials, it covers towards the tools, doesn't make any money. It covers itself.
You enjoy
and it allows me to make things because I enjoy making them.
Yeah.
And it not all come out of my own pocket.
Yeah.
So yes, I do sell some.
So what else do you do with your time at the moment?
As I say, a lot of it is taken up with looking after the family.
Yes, you were saying you've got, is it 2 stepchildren you have that are autistic?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've got, my wife had a stroke 3.5 years ago. Which has left her with empty cellar syndrome. And it's also affected her eyes and her face and the strength in her right arm.
What is that syndrome called?
Empty cellar syndrome.
I haven't heard of that.
It's where when you've had a stroke or a particular type of stroke, it increases the pressure within the fluid of the brain.
Right. Okay.
And it crushes the pituitary gland at the back of your.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, once the pituitary gland has been crushed, it does not come back. Now that affects hormone balances, it affects weight, memory, all sorts of things, speech. It affects quite a lot of things.
Yeah.
Um,
So is she, how is her day to day?
She's quite independent, in fact, fiercely independent. But she also she struggles with her iron, so she gets anemic a lot, and so she can sleep for 18 hours a day.
Right, okay.
So, we've got a house that needs running. She can no longer manage money. So I do all of the financials for the house. It sounds bad, but I send her pocket money once a week.
Yeah.
But it's basically money that she can spend on whatever. It doesn't affect our budget or bills or anything else.
But can she move around okay, like mobility?
She struggles a bit. Her right hand, the niece and nephews call it her raptor claw, because her little finger and second finger are bent in, sort of that sort of shape.
Yeah.
And that finger's slowly coming down. She struggles with strength in her grip. We've had to get an automatic car through mobility because she loses strength in her left leg. So, she can't use the clutch properly.
Right, okay.
Thank God for mobility cars is all I can say.
You know what? Yeah, but this whole thing, and your journey in particular, you just never know where life will take you. But I think, knowledge is power though, because
Marie actually had her stroke, sat on the end of my hospital bed just after my third heart attack.
Oh, you've had 3 heart attacks. Oh God. 3.
I've had 3 heart attacks, and I've had 2 stents fitted. And I also live with another autoimmune disease called sarcoidosis.
I've heard of this. What is that?
Sarcoidosis is an autoimmune disease that tricks your body into thinking another part of your body is an infection. The most common types are skin and lungs.
I was going to say the lungs, because someone told me about that recently in his lungs. Yeah.
Yeah. Mine started in my lungs. And I've now got about 70% lung capacity due to scar tissue.
Yeah.
And that's just something that I live with on a day-to-day. Now, another way to describe sarcoidosis is it's like a cancer.
Yeah.
A lot of the treatments for sarcoidosis are also cancer treatments. And like a cancer, it only ever goes into remission. Once you have sarcoid, you have it for life. And then it can pop up in the same place again. It can spread to other organs. It can spread to your skin. And it's just always there.
So, Alan, you've got a lot of experiences, different experiences, and you've been on a journey. What are your words of wisdom for people that are listening to this and they're going through shit and they think everything is shit? And, what would you say? What have you learned?
First off, don't be alone. It's surprising where support comes from and the people who will support you when you really need it.
Yeah.
Whether it be family, friends, people you meet through that journey in whatever illness it is.
Yeah.
Don't be alone.
Yeah.
And my other little word of wisdom is, we have one job in this world. and that is to make it a little bit better than where we found it. You know, for me, that is my HIV journey, and speaking out for heterosexual men. That is somewhere that I feel that I can help. You know, we also help out at a reptile rescue and volunteer there. So we help rehabilitate reptiles that have been abandoned and mistreated, which gets upsetting at times.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, trying to make the world a little bit better. You know, there is far too much violence and hatred and, you know, going on in this world. You know, look at all these people dropping bombs on each other for mainly nothing more than money and religion.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of the reasons why I stepped away from all mainstream religions, because of the violence I've seen and read about through history, through one religion not liking another religion. And I can't get it through my head. Why can't we all just live? And, you know, if somebody wants to believe in Allah and somebody wants to believe in God and somebody wants to believe in Buddha, why can't we all sit round a campfire and have a cup of tea together and, you know, talk about our shared experience rather than our differences?
Yeah.
You know, just be nice.
Be nice. That's nice. What a lovely way to end the podcast. Just be nice.
Just be nice. That's all we need.
That's all we need. Oh, Alan, honestly, it's the first time that I've heard your story to this extent, and it was an absolute pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much.
No problems at all. Thank you very much for having me on.
You're welcome. Stay on the line, and we'll have a chat after.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks for watching Aunty Lou's Hour. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching Aunty Lou's Hour. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe.